And now you can see the Backseat Mogul Show in all its video glory on our YouTube page at roughedge.tv.
Come to Harbor Cove Cafe, where the palm trees sway, where you'll find my types and zombies you'll crave. Your hidden treasure at the end of Spinnaker. Tropical libations, feel the island vibrations. Taste the flavors that delight in our paradise at night. Sip on sunshine in your cup, life's a breeze, so drink it up. Harbor Cove Cafe, where the aloha stays. Your perfect getaway at the end of the bay.
Showbiz is a cruel and shallow money trench, a long plastic hallway where thieves and pimps run free and good men die like dogs for no good reason. There's also a bad side.
This is the Backseat Mogul Show live here in Rough Edge FM. I am R. Scott Bolton. I am the Backseat Mogul, and this is the show where we talk about show business. Sitting over there is Johnny D. Johnny, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Scotty.
Hold on. Let's try that again.
Good morning, Scotty.
That's much better, yes.
I got to tell you, it wouldn't be the same as if we didn't do. Try it again.
Yeah, it has to do that at least one point here. There's all these steps that I got to remember. And I was actually thinking, okay, so our old console didn't have mute buttons. Well, it did. We just never used them. This one, they're always lit up. So you got to remember to turn them off. And I was thinking, do I need to turn John's mic on too? Because all the sound goes through the system. Well, obviously I do. And I knew that before anyway. So we're going to talk about a lot today. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about for the Santa Paula Film Festival, which we'll be doing a little later on. But first I wanted to talk about Bob Newhart. Bob Newhart passed away this week at the ripe old age of 94 years old. And I can't think of another comic anywhere that was as beloved and respected as Bob Newhart was. Can you think of anybody?
Would come close. I would go with of our era. Well, actually, Bob Newhart was our era, but
Bob, that was the other thing. Bob Newhart was of all eras. It's just insane.
Robin Williams.
Robin Williams, sure. But who did Robin Williams admire and love?
Oh yeah,
Bob Newhart.
Well, no, there was another guy. Oh God, I forgot his name. John.
You can stop right there. If you can't remember his name, he does not reach the level of Bob Newhart. Am I wrong? I am. No, I'm not wrong.
It'll come to him before the end of the show.
Don't you threaten me. Anyway,
that's no threat. That's fact.
Bob Newhart was a comic, got to start, I believe. Now, all this is off the top of my head. I haven't done a lot of research. It's just what I remember through all the years of watching and enjoying Bob Newhart. He got to start doing stand-up comic. Released a couple of albums. I've got pictures of his album here as well. Very successful albums. The Button Down Mind Strikes Back was the sequel to the Button Mound. And that's the same exact picture. So thanks for that.
I got to tell you, all of a sudden, I got sound in both ears. I mean, it just came on real quick.
You didn't have to tell us.
Oh, okay.
But thanks for doing it.
Hey, you're welcome.
All right. Well, I thought I had pictures of both. His most successful and best known album was The Button Down Mind of Bob Newhart. And this is obviously the sequel, The Button Down Mind Strikes Back. So, and by the way, you can listen to a lot of those things on YouTube. Go to YouTube and they've got clips from all of his albums and from his shows and from anything you can find that you want to find about Bob Newhart is there on YouTube. I spent a lot of the day yesterday celebrating his life, going through and watching some old clips, listening to some old routines. One that he did in more recent years was with the people from Mad TV. I'm not sure what show it was from. I don't think it was Mad TV, but it might have been. But he plays a psychiatrist. and a woman comes in and she's having some problems because, she gets angry when certain things happen, and she wants to know how he can help her. And he just tells her, stop it. Just stop doing it. Then it won't bother you anymore. It's a very funny bit. But Bob Newhart was just a true legend. And I saved this picture in particular here because he said this was his favorite role of all the roles he played the elf in the movie the same name. And he said of all the roles he played throughout the years, that was the one that he loved the most. So there's Bob Newhart with his pointy ears from Elf. There's a couple interesting things about Bob Newhart. To this day, many people consider the finale of his show to be the greatest finale of any show in history. And that was his second series with that nice surprise ending. And I'm not going to tell it, even though we all know it probably, but trust me, you can find it on YouTube and just watch that last few seconds of that series finale.
Now, was that the Bob Newhart show, or is that Newhart or Bob Newhart?
What did I just say, John? The second and the first series, because I don't know. And again, we'll have that discussion about how you shouldn't bring things up that you don't know.
I'm sorry.
Again, for the 10,645th time.
Okay.
It was one of the two shows. I think the Bob Newhart show was first, and then Newhart. So if it was the Bob Newhart show, it had to be Newhart. As I said, the second series. Johnny, let me ask you this. If it was the other way around, would it have made any sense? No, it had to. Okay.
Yeah, but I can't remember which title was which title.
People.
I mean, which show was which title?
There is a position opening soon for sidekick on the Backseat Mogul show. So send your resumes and reels to roughedgestudios@gmail.com because I'm about this close.
Big question. How many years?
Another big question. Last week, everything a big question. Big question. Why is that just a question? It's not a big question.
Okay. Question.
Better.
How many years will we?
I don't know. Oh, this is the 18th year of this show.
Okay. And,
oh my God.
And for 18 years now, that position's been open.
Yeah, but this is the first time I put it out on the air. Yeah, Bob Newhart. I remember as a kid watching Bob Newhart and loving him, and I remember, in recent years, every time you saw him somewhere, you knew it was going to be funny, and it always was. He just had a unique style. Here's a good question for you. Here's a big question for you. Can you think of a comic with better timing? I don't think one exists. I think that Bob Newhart had the comic timing down to the letter, literally. He was just a true legend. I also know that he was Don Rickles' best friend. Mm-hmm. And we often heard tales from people who experienced it, that if you were lucky enough to go to a restaurant and Don Rickles and Bob Newhart were having dinner next to you, you would laugh through the entire dinner because they were over there just having a blast together. So, but they would go on trips together and all that stuff. And I can just imagine the two of them together, just creating comedy fire.
Tell you what, you would have to be, if one of them was driving, the other one would have to be in the passenger seat. Doesn't matter which one. And one of them would have to be driving. You couldn't drive. You would have to be in the back seat because you would be laughing so hard you would wreck the car.
That's true. Yeah, that is true.
And in answer to my question, the second series was called Newhart.
Didn't we already figure that out?
Oh, I'm catching up.
That was, yeah. Okay. Here's just a few of his acting credits that we have. He was on Young Sheldon, the Big Bang. What would you call that? I guess a prequel, right? Young Sheldon, a prequel too.
No, he was in The Big Bang Theory.
John, I'm looking at his credits. Young Sheldon. Let's start with that, and then you can jump ahead on things.
Oh, I missed an episode then.
He played Professor Proton.
Yeah.
In Young Sheldon. Maybe it was just a voice. Professor Proton sounds like maybe it was an animated character.
Because it was the same character he played in The Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory, he played Arthur Jeffries. So it was not the same character that he played.
No. Wait.
No. I'm running circles around you verbally.
Okay, wait. No.
In Young Sheldon, he played Professor Proton. It might have been for 3 episodes. So probably not a voice.
Well, no. What? Well, I don't know. No, probably not.
So you missed 3 episodes of Young Sheldon.
Apparently so.
And then you called me a liar on my own show. Position open, folks.
No.
roughedgestudios@gmail.com.
Resumes.
Obviously, no experience necessary.
Resumes.
No, don't even bother.
No, in The Big Bang Theory, he played a guy who was on TV, Professor Proton.
It says Arthur Jeffries here. Was Arthur Jeffries Professor Proton?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I was trying to get at. And I
Jumped ahead and called me a liar on my own
I
show.
never called you a liar. You said I
No,
called
I
you
said
a
he was in
liar.
Young Sheldon. No, he was in the Big Bang Theory.
I didn't quite say it like that. But in what you just said, I never said you're a liar. Liar, liar,
You
pants
did. You
on
called
fire.
me a liar on my
Oh,
own
wait a
show.
minute. You remember that?
Anyway, Young Sheldon, of course, Big Bang Theory, The Librarians. Oh, I loved him in The Librarians. So much fun. One of my favorite TV series of all time, Hot in Cleveland. He was terrific on that show as well. Horrible Bosses. He was in that. A couple of librarian movies. He was in Desperate Housewives. ER, Elf, as we said, was his favorite role of all time. That was from 2003. Legally Blonde 2. What else was he in here? I'm looking through the list here. The Simpsons. Of course. Are you shocked? Of course he was in The Simpsons. He was in a show called Bob. So we had the Bob Newhart show, Newhart, and Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of shows. The Rescuers Down Under. Obviously, he was a voice in that one as well. He was in his Gary Shandling show. The Disney movie, The Rescuers. The Don Rickles show. There's a stunner. He was in the Don Rickles show. He was Major in Catch 22.
Yep.
I forgot that. Completely.
I did too.
Completely forgot
And
that.
Catch 22 is a World War II movie based on the book Catch 22.
That's right. And a very good book, but man, it's challenging. I read that book and it was challenging. Clooney has made a Catch 22 series that is on Hulu, I believe, and it's excellent. So good. So good. He was in On a Clear Day, You Can See Forever, Hot Millions. And back in the early days, he got to start in film, I believe, with a movie called Hell is for Heroes. And that was from 1962. He also did an episode, and I'd love to see this now, of the Alfred Hitchcock Hour.
Ooh.
I'd love to see that. I really would. Anyway, Bob Newhart, one of the true greats. Let's get him back up here from Elf again, saying goodbye to Bob. And, here's the glory of somebody who's had that many years in the business, that many decades of entertaining. We have all this stuff on film and on tape, and we can experience it forever. So it's not like he's truly gone. It's just that he went home, like you like to say.
Before we move on, I just want to say one thing about the movie he did.
Are you sure you know what it is? Because I don't want to get into this.
Do.
Okay.
Hell is for Heroes. He plays a private, and he really didn't have any dialogue. The director had him make up his own dialogue because he's supposed to be on the phone talking to headquarters.
How many of Bob's routines were him on the phone talking to somebody?
Exactly.
So why would you not let him do that? It was a brilliant move.
Yeah, it was. And he made up his dialogue as the cameras were rolling.
Very nice. Well, of course he did, because
That's
what he did. That was his bit.
Bob Newhart was Bob.
Yeah, he sure was. He sure was. True legend, and will be missed. And but here's the beauty of it, folks. We got all that stuff on video, on tape, on television, on streaming. You can find it everywhere. YouTube is a cornucopia of Bob Newhart information. So please go check that out, because he was a true legend. Okay, so moving on, we do have the Santa Paula Film Festival for the first time ever coming up next weekend. I am one of the judges on the panel of judges for the event, and I've watched all of the movies. I've watched everything. 3 feature films, 19, I think, short films. I have watched them all.
So you are one of the judges.
Yes, I am.
I know you've got that beautiful brand new pick 'em up downstairs.
What did I say last week?
Mm-hmm.
Cards and money. No,
That's right.
I don't.
Food too.
I don't play that way. But I'm not going to go over synopses of the ones of all the movies here, but I'm going to tell you about a few that I thought were very that stand out for whatever reason. And the first one is Blue Water Fairies. Now you wonder, what is Blue Water Fairies? Well, Blue Water Fairies is an 11-minute movie made by kids for kids. And it's this group of kids who obviously their parents, got hold of some equipment for them. They wrote, directed, and starred in their own movie, made their own costumes. And I have to tell you, it's more entertaining than half the films on this list. Now, is it high quality stuff? No, of course not. But these kids are having a blast. And the script is actually kind of funny in a kid's kind of way. And the best thing about it, as I was watching it, I was going, all these kids, or obviously not all of them, most of these kids are going to get the film bug. They're going to want to make films for the rest of their lives. And I think that's really cool.
One of them is going to be an up and coming Spielberg, and one of them is going to be an up and coming Tarantino.
Well, and hopefully one of them will be the next Jennifer Aniston or something as well, because they're just all terrific in it, and they're just having so much fun.
And let's hope one of them is an up and coming Alfred Hitchcock.
That's kind of scary.
I know that, but he did some of the. Oh,
we got some filmmakers who are coming close, but Hitchcock was still the one that everybody matches. I still say Steven Spielberg is the greatest filmmaker of all time, but Steven Spielberg wouldn't be Steven Spielberg if it weren't for Alfred Hitchcock. So let's see what else we got. Abigail Breslin has a film in the running called As Easy as Closing Your Eyes. And this is a very interesting short film, 21 minutes, about a woman who's dealing with grief, but she finds a drug that lets her relive a day with her lost, in this case, son. And it's pretty poignant because how easily would you get addicted to that drug?
Yeah.
Oh, you'd be on it all the time. And that's what this whole film was about. So also very interesting. As Easy as Closing Your Eyes, presented by Abigail Breslin.
Now, is she producing, directing?
She's just a producer, just producing it. She's not in it, or she just produced it. So I think she's the executive producer.
Is this the same Abigail Breslin actress?
No, it's another Abigail Breslin that's involved in Hollywood that has the same name and the same appearance and the same looks and the same social security number. Of course it's that one.
It's possible.
They make them change their
Highly
name.
improbable.
They make them change their name at the Screen Actors Guild if it's too close to somebody else's.
Oh, okay.
So how probable is it?
Well, in my world, those resumes will be addressed to.
I'm going to say that's a fair question, so we can move on. Let's see what else we got here. The Composer is an interesting film, 12 minutes long, about a man in a senior citizen's home. And he's kind of losing it, but every once in a while he gets this flash of his life as a composer. But there's something that happens that is a little surprising about that as well. The Composer was also very well done. Dead Air is 14 minutes long, and it's like a Twilight Zone episode. And I loved it up until the end. They couldn't deliver on the ending. It was just okay after all that, but it was pretty interesting there. Discovering Ella is a 9-minute short that pretty much tells you that how Ella Fitzgerald was discovered. Whether it's true or not, it doesn't matter, but in 9 minutes, they get 9 minutes worth. It leaves you feeling a little like you want a little bit more.
Oh, and Ella Fitzgerald.
And the woman who plays Ella is excellent in this as well.
Do you know, does she do her own singing, or is it?
I believe she does her own singing in it, but I could be wrong. But we need to check that and find out. But it was also very good. Let's see what else we got here. We got Goons, Guns, and the Gumshoe, which is a movie about a private detective hired to find a missing woman. Guiding Light is a short film, again made by youngsters, not older than the ones from the previous time. The kids from that Blue Water Fairies are like 7, 8, 9 years old. This young girl, I believe, was 14 or something. But anyway, it's about Polly Klaas and about her loss and how it still affects the community today. One of my favorite films in the series is Office Chatter, and it's a 7-minute short, but it's about a group of people showing up to work, and you don't really hear so much dialogue between them as you do hear what's going on in their heads. And it is hysterically funny and extremely well acted, and was one of my very favorites from the whole set. We have Sallywood, which is Sally Kirkland. And a young man has always been in love with her, and he moves to Hollywood to get a job as a Hollywood screenwriter. But his real reason to go to Hollywood is to meet Sally Kirkland. Well, in the course of 5 minutes, he's her assistant, and you can imagine where it goes on from there. But very funny movie. Sally is terrific. She's not so much just doing a parody of herself as she is just playing herself, but she pops it up a level, and she's terrific in that as well. So that is a Sallywood. Let's see what else. I'm skipping a bunch of them, folks, because like I said, there are 20 some odd pictures there. And then the last one I'll talk about today is Stairway to the Stars. Stairways to the Stars is about a faded movie star and her assistant. And together they are walking up these very famous stairs. If you see this movie, you'll recognize these stairs from many movies. They're a very famous set of stairs in Hollywood, and they're very steep and they're very brutal and they're hard to walk up. And she's up there now and she's having a hard time getting there, but he keeps pushing her. because he says it's going to be better for her. So as they do this, they have this conversation going up the stairs about life and death and whatever. And it's very, very interesting. And it also stars Sean Young. Sean Young plays the faded movie star in this as well.
Interesting.
And they use some early photos of her as flashbacks and things, like, to show, remember when I was a big star, and they show her like in Blade Runner and what have you. So also another one that I recommend. Now, all of these films are available in blocks at santapaulafilmfestival.org. Johnny wants to see the list, so I'll pass the list over. Let me make sure about that link real quick, because I don't want to give it out wrong. Since it is the first film festival here, I want to make sure I don't screw it up. So let me make sure that is in fact, the website. And it is santapaulafilmfestival.org. I probably could have just done this. Oh, it doesn't say there. It's next weekend, July 25th to 28th. Tickets are available at santapaulafilmfestival.org. You can buy them individual blocks, or you can buy a whole package for, I believe, $50, which is a good deal. So you can see all these movies. A lot of them are shorts. There are at least 4 features, I believe. Travis Greer has a couple of them in there. He's got a short and a feature film, his most recent feature film. So go on down, check out these movies, and just have a good time celebrating not only the film festival out there and the film community there, but the Santa Paula experience, because there's a lot in Santa Paula that people tend to forget about because it's kind of off the beaten path, but it's one of my favorite cities. So
I got you. There's a lot of things have been filmed in Santa Paula,
and there's a wall in Santa Paula on the outside of I think it's actually on windows, where they have posters taped of all the things that are shot. So you can like do a little history. You can start over at this end to see the early days and walk down the wall and see all the things that were shot there. So it's very cool. I saw, this was actually in Fillmore, so close to Santa Paula, but not Santa Paula. But I spent a day on set with Steven Spielberg when he was shooting the Twilight Zone movie. Now, I say with Steven Spielberg because I could see him work, but I couldn't get close to him. But it was really cool that Steven Spielberg was there shooting Scatman Crothers in the Twilight Zone movie. So, but I believe that was in Fillmore. I'm pretty sure that was Fillmore, not Santa Paula. But anyway, lots of stuff is, and also it's the home of a character in the Bryce Heller books. And
it's also the home of Rough Edge Studios.
It is. As a matter of fact, that's where we're at right now, which is how I became involved through the House of Magic, through the Santa Paula Chamber and what have you, to be a judge on the panel. So thank you guys for that. I appreciate that. And I enjoyed watching all the movies.
And I've got to tell you, Rough Edge Studios started by R. Scott Bolton.
Oh, that's me.
Author.
Yes.
And if you go to Amazon,
there we go.
You can look up R. Scott Bolton, author, in the books, and you'll have a list of all the books that have been released by R. Scott Bolton, including the most recent release, which is called, I forgot.
Death and the Mogul.
Death and the Mogul.
The third Bryce Heller novel. There's a fourth written and a fifth in the works.
So, one of the best authors I've ever read.
Done a podcast with.
Yeah, and read. And seriously, I don't say this because Scotty is sitting next to me. I say this because it's true. Scotty has a way with the pen. In this case, it's a keyboard. Yeah.
I can't do longhand writing. I tried it when I was in creative writing school. That's all we had, Nah, it was too hard.
Well, I guess I got to change. The pen is mightier than the sword. No, keyboard is mightier than the sword.
Stephen King has actually written a novel longhand because he experiments, because he's Stephen King. Here's R. Scott Bolton here, and Stephen King's up in the stratosphere somewhere. But he's also written a book in French. I mean, he didn't have it translated. He wrote a book in French. It's just,
well, I tell you what, learn hieroglyphics, hieroglyphic. I can't say that word.
Hieroglyphics.
Yeah, that word. Learn that, and you'll be up above him if you can do a book.
Nobody be able to read it. Be all looking at all these Egyptian figures.
That means they'd have to buy the second English translation version.
Oh, so that's what I'll do, is I'll write a book about understanding hieroglyphics and then sell them the novel so they can practice.
There you go.
That's a plan.
So anyway, go to Amazon.com, and if you've got Amazon Prime, you're going to get free delivery of these books. Come by the studios, and I guarantee you Scotty will sign it, provided Scotty is here.
Yeah, I will. Or just leave it or chip it to me. I don't care. I'll sign it anywhere.
I have to do an apology right now.
Again?
Yes. Well, this one is because the last show we did, I didn't do the plug.
Oh, you don't apologize. You don't apologize for that. Apologize for this. How much of Bowling Bag in the Backseat have you read?
I got it copied.
F for fail.
Oh, and I even did the 3-hole punch myself.
Wow. Well, look at you moving ahead. Pretty soon you'll get to the text.
Yeah.
I printed a copy for Shelley to proofread, and it was sitting on my dining room table. And Josh came down. He goes, "Oh, is that mine?" And I took it. So I guess it is yours. So
with your new printer?
yes.
Ah, sweet.
Thank God. I had to get a laser printer. It was $70 to print a copy of a book at Kinko's these days. So for $210, I bought a laser printer, and I can print it as many times as I need to.
There you go. I mean, it pays for itself in the long run.
It does. Yes. Santa Paula Film Festival.org. Once again, that is the following weekend, the 25th to the 28th. Tons of films to watch. Buy them in blocks, buy a whole set for the whole show. I promise you will be entertained at least most of the time. So please do that. What else we got going on? Let's see what the news is from IMDb. You got any other? Well, why don't you talk about your movie, Johnny? You saw a movie this weekend.
I went and saw Fly Me to the Moon.
Okay. So John saw Fly Me to the Moon. Let's move on to the news. Sorry, no, go ahead. Just don't sing anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I thought I did it nice.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem.
I did a happy birthday really nice.
Yeah, well, we all know
really
that.
Surprised everybody, including you.
Me. That was wild. I'll never forget that. Anyway,
Fly Me to the Moon. And to be honest, I don't know how much of that. I do know that the actual landing on the moon is
faked,
real, unless of course you watch the movie Capricorn 1. But
OJ was in that.
Yeah.
Great score by Jerry Goldsmith. Great score.
Did you like the way I pulled that out of the?
I wasn't paying any attention.
Yeah. Okay. I quite enjoyed this movie. Tatum O'Neal. Oh boy. Channing Tatum.
That was bad as me and Travis Kelce last week when I meant Travis Greer.
Channing Tatum and Scarlett Johansson. Great. Oh, and Ed. Is it Ed? No.
Sure story.
Yeah. Ed
Harris.
No. His last name begins with an M. He had his own TV show where, oh boy. Hey, Ray Romano. Wait,
who's Ed? I want to know who Ed was. Don't jump ahead and try to go around that. You think of who Ed was.
I'm sure somebody named Ed was on that show.
Scarlett Johansson, Channing Tatum, Woody Harrelson, Ray Romano.
And a bunch of other people.
I'm looking for somebody named Ed. There's no Ed.
There was somebody in the crew named Ed.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, go ahead. So what's the story about?
It's about the Apollo 11 landing on the moon, about how government agency wanted to. Should this be a spoiler alert?
Well, don't go too far, but
okay. It's about the like I said, the Apollo 11 landing on the moon in 1969. And I have to tell you, I remember watching that on television when that happened, when they stepped out of the landing craft and stepped on the moon, because they had extended a camera to show them stepping out, and it was amazing. I mean, talk about chills going up and down. I
was in grammar school when that happened. I can't remember which grade, but it was early. And they brought TVs into all the classrooms, and every classroom watched the first step in the moon.
Yeah,
it was so pretty cool. Now, I was probably, let's see, it was 1969, you said?
Yep.
So I was 8 years old. And you were probably
103.
just applied for a retirement, right? For Social Security?
No, I already over that. I was
past that. Okay. So
now I was in high school since 69. I was 68, 69. I was in the 10th, 69, 70. I was in the 11th. So it was either when I was in the 10th grade or the 11th grade.
Swell.
Depending on the school year. Because yeah.
Anyway, so the movie is about that.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to do.
Well,
I don't wanna spoil anything.
here's what we'll do. We'll read the synopsis on Internet Movie Database.
Okay.
So let's find that real quick. Hold on 1 second. And the joys of the internet. Fly Me to the Moon. Scarlett Johansson, Channing Tatum. Marketing maven Kelly Jones wreaks havoc on launch director Cole Davis's already difficult task. When the White House deems the mission too important to fail, the countdown truly begins.
Because
Okay.
it's about the race to space between the America and Russia.
And it was a big deal to keep Kennedy's promise.
Yes.
Because Kennedy said that we would go to the moon in the next decade. That's what he said, decade.
And this decade,
they wanted to make sure that they did.
and the way he said, like, to land on the, I'm paraphrasing, to land on the moon and the other thing, or things, which meant bringing them back home.
Yeah, well, I don't know if that's what it meant or not, but yeah, that was a very important part of it. Yes.
And the way the movie starts out is, can I talk about that? The opening.
Sure, why not?
Okay,
As long as it doesn't give anything away.
the opening, everybody knows what happened with Apollo 1. It never left the launch pad. And that's because there was a fire in the capsule, which unfortunately killed all 3 astronauts that were in it.
It's the most dangerous job in the world.
Yes.
Astronauts is the most dangerous job in the world.
And that's how it starts out. And there is some drama in it, in the movie, as to that aspect and how it relates to Channing Tatum's character.
Well, you know, they thought about that constantly. Every time there was a launch, they thought about Apollo 1.
Oh, yeah.
They thought, are we going to do this again? And, you know, it's brutal.
But in Channing Tatum's character, I believe he was the launch director on Apollo 1. And that's why it affects his character so much throughout the movie. And it's an excellent movie. And one of the things
let me ask you about this though, before you go any further. Is this drama? Is this a rom-com? What kind of movie is this? Because I kind of got the impression it was just another rom-com, but what you're telling me now, there's some serious gravity to it.
Well,
no pun intended.
If you want to call it a rom-com, the romance part of it doesn't happen till towards the end.
Okay,
So
so
I wouldn't-
probably not a
myself, I wouldn't-
rom-com.
And I know there's a word that you don't like, and that's dramedy.
I hate that word.
There is a lot of dramedy in it. There is a lot of comedy in it.
Okay, so is there drama or is there comedy?
I'm gonna say drama,
Okay, that is not what I expected. That movie is not doing very well at the box office.
which is a shame.
And I believe that's probably why people didn't know what to expect. I thought it was because there's been this slew of fairly successful rom-coms lately, Anyone But You being the big one. I thought it was another rom-com, and that seems to be the way that they're marketing it. But from what you're telling us, it's not much. It's more of a drama.
Yeah, I mean, with just about any movie you see, there's a little bit of romance in it.
Yeah, that's not a rom-com because there's a lot of romance in it.
Exactly. And I didn't think, if there is romance in it, a lot of romance, and it's romance with the race for space.
Okay, that's fair.
But would I call it a rom-com? No, I would not. I just thought it was an excellent movie. One thing, you know how I feel about watching, whether it's a TV show or a movie, if it's a period piece, and I'll pick out things like, no, that's too new for it to have been back then. This is supposed to take place in 1969. The car that Channing Tatum's character drives is a 1967 Camaro convertible. As a matter of fact, I think it's either an RS or an SS.
This is when John gets geeky.
Now, there is a shot towards the end, which is in the parking lot of the Cape Canaveral. Wait a minute, it might have been called Cape Kennedy by then. Yeah, I think it was called Cape Kennedy then. Anyway, as the camera shows things, I see a Chevelle, and I'm going, whoa, wait a minute, I need to see the tail lights on that, because if it's well, it would have to have been a 70, even though this takes place in toward, I guess, around the middle of 69, and the 70 Chevelles didn't come out until November.
There's a clear explanation for that, though, because space travel goes hand in hand with time travel. So that's not a big, it's not a big deal.
Oh, so what you're saying is somebody behind the camera had that go back button. Way back button.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that one of the characters had that button.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm surprised there wasn't a DeLorean in that movie.
But anyway, no, because there is a big difference in the 68, 69 Chevelles and the 69, 70 Chevelles.
See, here's the thing. That kind of mistake is okay because most people aren't car geeks like you and wouldn't notice. I never would have thought of that. It's not like the mistake they made in Killers of the Flower Moon, where they called his car one thing and it had the Chevy, what do they call it, badge?
The bow tie.
The bow tie, the Chevy bow tie. They said it was a Ford. It's like,
no, actually, no, they had the right. I don't want to say manufacturer. It was a General Motors car, but they called it a different General Motors car than what the camera actually showed.
yeah, we saw the Chevy
bow tie.
bow tie. Yeah,
Man, I saw that and I said something.
Ivan did.
Yeah.
Well, even I noticed that one, and I don't
You're
know anything
rubbing-
about cars. But like, didn't they call that a BMW 2000 or something? No, I don't know what they call it. But yeah, but
I like it. I'm rubbing off on you. I can't believe I did it that way. You're looking for that.
That's
mute
my
button,
whole
aren't you?
point of that is that somebody who doesn't know anything about cars would have said, "Wait a second, they said it was this, and there's clearly a Chevy badge," is what I call it. He says bow tie.
You know,
But and then only you and other geeks of your nature, and there's nothing wrong with being a geek. I'm geek on many things. Would notice that. Well, the tail fins are the wrong size for the. You know, 7/8 of America would never even think about that.
the only thing I saw really wrong with the movie, besides the car, was
Was there a Chevy bow tie on the Rocket?
Yeah.
That might be part of it.
No, the dress. Whoever decided how they were going to have Channing Tatum's character dress,
Probably Channing Tatum.
I was disappointed in.
Why? What was wrong with it? It looked too modern or something? Or
Okay, everybody, he's launch director
yeah,
at the Cape, and he's wearing pullovers.
everybody else was wearing suits.
Period piece pullovers, but everybody else in that room is wearing white shirt with tie. But yet he's wearing one day.
Not a very good example for his subordinates.
Right.
Do they explain it at some point? Do they say something about his?
No, the only time that he actually wore a white shirt and tie and actually a coat was when he had to talk with some senator or congressman.
Sure, that
about
makes
funding.
sense. Yeah.
But some scenes he's wearing a yellow pullover shirt. Like I said, a period piece.
But it doesn't seem
Sure.
right for a person in his position.
Right.
Was it based on a true character? Was it?
That I don't know. I do know that there was a movie that, oh gosh, which one was it? Ed Harris did, where he was a launch director, and he's wearing a white shirt and tie. So because of that era,
Well, you're probably thinking, no, was that Ed Harris?
yeah, Ed Harris played a launch director.
I know, but was that?
I can't remember which movie that was.
Forgotten Figures, something like that. Was that it? That movie?
No, I don't know.
Okay, so anyway, I looked
But
up.
anyway,
Channing Tatum plays Cole Davis,
Mhm.
and let's see if Cole Davis was a real person, because maybe there's a story to that, and they should have explained it if there is. But let's find out. Cole Davis and NASA, right? It sure looks like it. What happened to the real Cole Davis at NASA?
oh,
So he was based on.
maybe that's how Cole Davis actually dressed, which is possible. But they could have explained that.
Gene Kranz, the real life flight director for Apollo 11 and Apollo 13, inspired the character Cole Davis. So that's not his actual name.
Mhm.
But yeah, if that's how he dressed, then they should have explained that.
Yeah, in some way. And if they did, I missed it. But I quite enjoyed this movie. People, go see this movie. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Not only about it being an era piece because of the way people would dress, the cars they drove, but the music that was in this movie.
They have a lot of that era's rock and roll kind of stuff.
Yes,
they did.
And not just the rock and roll, but also, like the Frank Sinatra, Perry Como style of
which
music.
was big then.
Easy, would you call that easy listening? Well, today you'd probably call it easy listening. I don't know what you'd call it.
It's probably pop back then.
Yeah.
I pulled up Gene Kranz of NASA, and how many pullovers are you counting here, Johnny?
Go up one, none.
Yeah, so far the number's 0. So that was just a decision they made. Probably because
there's the movie with Ed Harris right there in the middle.
yes, I saw that too.
Okay.
But what is he wearing?
A white shirt, tie, and a vest.
So I don't know what that came from, but that does seem a little odd to me too.
Oh, there was one other thing that I was disappointed in, and I'm going to go ahead and say it because it's not really a spoiler alert. I don't think
They don't make it to the moon.
Well, in the beginning, there is a dialogue, narration, and it's Woody Harrelson's character narrating the beginning of it, and his narration in the beginning ends with, "Because I was there." You would think they would have had him narrating at the end.
Was it necessary?
I thought so because of the way he sets it up.
Okay. I mean, does the movie close out okay, except for that? And maybe they did.
I would say yeah.
Maybe they did have him have a closing narration and they cut it because, the movie's over.
Well, that's possible.
Because you don't want 16 endings like with Lord of the Rings movies, which, by the way, I'm not complaining about that. They actually worked for that. Fly Me to the Moon cost $100 million to make and has grossed so far worldwide only $20 million. So it's not gonna pull its money back.
People go see it. If it's in your theater right now, go today.
I'd like to see that because I like stories about space.
I think you'd like it, Scotty.
And
besides, it's got at least 3, possibly 4 characters in it that are actors that I'm sure you like.
Yes, well, both Channing Tatum and Scarlett O'Hara, Scarlett Johansson.
Gone with the Wind.
Yes. Twisters, they were hoping for $55. They would wish. They were hoping for $55 million this week. It looks like they're going to get 72. And I got to tell you, I had a feeling this was going to do better than they expected because everybody's so excited about this movie. My son and his girlfriend went Wednesday night. They had previews on Wednesday and Thursday this time. And they just both thought it was freaking great. They couldn't wait to see it. And it was just as good as they said it was, as they would hoped it would be. They said the special effects are amazing. Of course, look how much special effects have come since the first one.
Well, I'm definitely going to see this movie because I grew up in what they call Tornado Alley. So, yeah, I saw the first one, Twister, and yeah, for me, there's a lot of laughable moments in it. But the fact that a lot of it's based on what really happens in a tornado. So have
you been in a tornado or just in the area where there were tornadoes?
I've been very close.
Okay. That's not close enough. That only counts on hand grenades and nuclear weapons
and horseshoes.
No, it doesn't count in horseshoes anymore. They changed the rules. Didn't you hear that?
Oh, that's right. Now
it's got to be looped around twice before it counts.
Well, it could be instead of horseshoes, maybe now they've changed it to
No, don't say that. This is a family show.
Hand grenades and cornhole.
Does close count there?
Yes.
I thought it has to go in.
No. If you're blocking people from going in,
yeah,
that's a close.
I guess you could stretch it to mean that. I can't believe how big cornhole is.
Oh yeah.
We have the biggest cornhole tournament, I think, in the world take place here in Ventura County.
Yeah. Wasn't that at the rodeo? Surf rodeo?
I don't think it was. I think it's separate from the surf rodeo. But it's just huge. I think the top prize is $100,000 now.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's on ESPN. It's nuts how things are changing out there.
my nephew and grandnephew are very big into, I don't know if they still do it, but they were very big into competitive cornhole.
Oh,
Because to the point where we're watching a match on TV when I was staying at their place, and they were telling me about, okay, this, that, and the other thing about getting it in the hole or blocking someone from getting in the hole. And I was quite interested. And not only them, but my niece, who I don't know if she ever played it, but obviously she knows the rules because of her husband and her son. And
yeah,
it's quite interesting to watch.
it's amazing.
And, you know,
It's probably going to become an Olympic sport.
you know, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, when you see how have you ever done cornhole?
Oh, sure.
I mean,
I played giant cornhole up in Vegas.
Oh, sweet.
They had these giant pillows that you had to fling. It was a blast.
But you know, have I slid it into the hole? Yes. Have I whooshed it into the hole? No. And I'm seeing these.
I have.
I'm seeing these kids like, oh my.
Well,
gosh.
here's the difference between them and me. They're doing it with skill. I did it with luck. Like, swish, because that's how I play all my sports. Shelley drugged me out to the pickleball court on her birthday, and we played pickleball. And, you know, I've only played 5-6 times maybe, but I held my own for the most part. Sometimes I really sucked. But it was funny because people go, oh, good shot. I just hit it. I didn't mean to hit it there. I just hit it. But anyway, it was fun. Moving on, we got Suits. Suits was on the network in the early days, did quite well. Didn't sing it, never won an Emmy Award. Isn't that amazing that Suits never won an Emmy Award?
Yeah. Have you seen the complete series?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm done. I've seen the whole thing. Yeah.
It was good.
Because
I enjoyed it.
and that falls into my story, because Suits started out in a network, then it ended up on Netflix, where it found this new life. Everybody was watching Suits. Everybody was talking about Suits. And so because it was like number one on Netflix for weeks. And the TV executives looked up and went, hey, maybe we need Suits. So they do now have a new Suits TV series. It's called Suits LA, and it got the official green light this week. So we're going to have the new Suits series coming up very soon. No word on if anybody from the previous cast will appear or not. So we don't know if they're going to be semi-regulars, if they're going to be cameos, if they're going to show up at all. It's a whole new cast. Same writers and producers, I believe. And, you know, they got pretty big shoes to step into, because Suits deserves the attention it gets.
Well, is this a retelling of it, or
No, it's a whole new
Okay.
But here's the thing that's interesting. It's Suits LA, right?
Mhm.
So the other one was it New York? I think it was
Yes,
New York.
New York.
And what happened, and spoiler alert, but I'm sorry, folks, if you haven't watched Suits by now, a lot of the people moved to the West Coast. So now you got Suits LA. Well, they're all on the West Coast.
Well, there was another, I guess, yeah, you would have to call it a spinoff, because one of the main
They
characters.
don't talk about that, John.
Huh, we don't.
That bomb. No, we can. They don't, because it
okay.
did not do well.
Oh, really? I didn't realize.
One season and it was gone.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Because the actress, and I can't remember what her
Gina?
name. Yeah. Not Gina Davis either,
And not Gina Rodriguez.
but Gina. No.
She's awesome, and we should be ashamed we
Oh,
can't
yeah,
remember
she
her
is.
name.
And she played that character so well.
Gina Torres.
Yes. And what was the name of what was that series called?
Because it was named after her character. It was called, she's been in so many things. I mean, if you don't recognize her name, trust me, the minute you see her, you will. Pearson was the name of her series.
That's right, because that was her last name.
That's correct. But she's been, right now she's on a Lone Star, 911 Lone Star. She was, of course, in Firefly before that, one of the greatest
she
science
was
fiction shows of all time.
Great in that.
She was in Riverdale. She's terrific. She's an amazing actor. And I'm sad that that Pearson did not fly, but it did not
She was
fly.
in Westworld?
She was in the TV series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I didn't get to see the completion of that series.
Why not?
Because
you're too cheap to pay for it.
No, I'm just too broke to pay for it.
John, we all know you. You're cheap.
Hey, it's bad enough I'm paying for my Amazon Prime Video.
Well, that's just to get my book shipped free.
Well, yeah. which is really weird because all I got to do is say, "Hey, I need a copy of that." So, but
You still buy
she,
it anyway.
She really is good.
All right, so let's see what we got in other words. There is a new Alien movie, Alien Romulus, that everybody cannot wait to see. The trailers look like they're making the alien very scary again, much like the first movie. So we're looking forward to that. But in addition to that, there's an Alien television series on FX, and it has finally got its official title. It'll be called Alien Earth. So we'll see. I think the aliens finally make it to Earth and people get to shoot them. I think that's what it's all about. Let's see what else we got going on.
Other one called
Alien Romulus. And I think what happens in Alien Romulus is that the Romulans from Star Trek run into no, that's not what happens at all.
And they're saved by the blue guys with the antenna.
Smurfs.
Yeah, them.
Andorians. Nicolas Cage's movie, what is it? Daddy Longlegs? Or is it just Longlegs?
I think it's just called Longlegs. Stunned
everybody this weekend, cranked out a number this past weekend, got the number 2 position at the box office with $22 million. They say it's a very scary, very creepy, very disturbing serial killer film. And I got to say that I continue to admire the hell out of Nicolas Cage for picking the movies he's doing, for delivering the performances he's doing. He's doing these low budget movies that, cost less than his salary used to be back when he was a superstar. And he is just knocking it out of the park every time. So Longlegs did very well. Haven't seen it yet, but I definitely want to go. Maybe I'll do that this weekend. Maybe I'll go see Longlegs and then sneak over and watch Maxine. I won't do that at the same. I will pay.
A double horror fest.
That's lots. Horror movies are on a big rise right now because they're cheap to make and they, make a ton of movie. That movie Maxine, let's look up Maxine's box office. Bear with me for just a second, folks, because this is stunning to me. Maxine is the third part of a trilogy. Started with X and then Pearl, and now there's Maxine. Now the thing is, they're not sequels or anything. They just have the same basic kind of theme, which makes them interesting. So Maxine is currently sitting at a box office total worldwide of $16 million. Now that sounds paltry, doesn't it? Because we were just talking about Fly Me to the Moon having $30 million, $20 million, but its budget was $100 million. Do you know what the budget for Maxine was? $2 million.
Ooh.
So it's already made 8 times its budget with only $16 million.
Rodriguez's movie, the one
big hit.
The one that he did for $10,000.
No, he did not. You got to stop telling people these stories.
I thought that's what it was.
No, it was $7,000. It was actually $3,500 plus $3,500 for Prince.
Okay, $7,000. And that
El Mariachi.
And that ended up with how many millions?
Well, let's look at that. See, it wasn't a lot, but it didn't have to be.
I mean, for a movie.
And also he sold it. So it's not like he saw that money. He sold it to a film company that released it. I don't know how much that deal was worth, but yeah, El Mariachi was legendary for being a very cheap movie. There it is right there. It only made $2 million. Now think about that though. It cost $7,000. $7,000. How many times does $2 million go into 7,000?
A bunch.
But the thing to remember also is that he made it for 7,000. He probably sold it for 50,000. Let's just guess. So that if the studio paid 50,000 for it, they still got a great deal off of it.
This was the movie that really introduced the world to Rodriguez.
It is. And to this day, he's one of my favorite filmmakers because he's a maverick. There was a story a couple of weeks ago, and I don't know if I talked about this in the show or not, but Danny Trejo said he was sad because he just heard that Robert Rodriguez had sold all the rights to Machete and that it belonged to another company now, which means he probably would never be able to play Machete ever again. And the next day, Robert Rodriguez posted and said, well, Danny, you're wrong. I still own all the rights to Machete, and we're still going to do Machete in space. But who knows if that'll ever really come true or not. But I thought that was pretty exciting and also pretty funny. Well, you thought he sold it all. I was like, no, I own all of it still.
Okay, how old is Danny Rodriguez now?
Danny Rodriguez?
Rodriguez?
I'm assuming you mean Danny Trejo.
Yeah, him.
I absolutely love Danny Trejo. I think he's just terrific in way too many ways. Agent. I didn't ask for his agent. He's 80 years old.
Wow.
But look at him. He can still play machete in space.
He don't look 80.
Can you imagine him with a light machete?
One of my favorite movies that he was in, he was a supporting cast. And that's the one where I believe it was the first Spy Kids.
Uh-huh.
His character was so good. He played their uncle.
Uncle Machete.
Yeah. That was...
He just posted a picture from that the other day. The Spy Kids come to see their Uncle Machete.
That was just... I wouldn't have expected that kind of a character. And the character that he played in the TV series Sons of Anarchy. Oh, my goodness.
That was a dark character.
Yes. But Danny Trejo, he's good. He is really so good.
Let's see what Rodriguez is up to real quick. And then we're going to call it a day, folks. But let's look up and see what Rodriguez has got up his sleeve these days. He's got 3 upcoming movies. All right. So the first one is Zorro, which is currently in development.
Ooh.
The other one is Untitled We Can Be Heroes sequel. It was a Netflix film, I believe, that he did. That was a lot of fun. And the one that's in pre-production, notice I said pre-production, not development, is Machete Kills in Space.
Now, that second one, Untitled We Can Be Heroes.
Yeah, We Can Be Heroes was this movie here. It was a TV movie, not a streaming movie, a superhero kind of movie. And of course, it was kids. Pedro Pascal was in it, and who else was there? Some other people as well. Anyway, it was a fun little movie. It was like Spy Kids, very much like Spy Kids.
Did you see We Can Be Heroes?
I did. Oh yeah.
Okay. Did they use the David Bowie song?
I don't remember.
It's a great song.
There's no David Bowie song called We Can Be Heroes.
No, but there's a line in one of his songs.
No, the song's called Heroes.
But yeah, but there's a line that
There is.
says We Can Be Heroes.
By the way, Motorhead does that song, and it's awesome.
Oh, I bet.
It's
They
awesome.
don't do it anymore, but you'd have to get a recording of it.
That's the whole point. That's once again, we come to that when these people die and pass away, you still have all this stuff on tape and on video and whatever. It's awesome. So anyway,
yeah. And let me interject with this. We talked about Bob Newhart at the beginning of the show.
we did.
And I would be completely surprised if you cannot find a DVD or even a VHS, if they still have them, in your local public library.
You can't?
No, I would be surprised if you can't.
Oh, they're going away. There's no question.
Oh, yeah.
VCRs are already, VHS is a little bit like cassette. It's made a weird comeback because people are collecting them. My son started collecting VHS. He goes to the thrift stores because he can get them for $0.25 a piece and buys up a lot of VHS cassettes. So I don't think anybody's manufacturing new ones. And unlike cassettes, which they are, I mean, you can go to Amazon and pick your favorite band, and they probably have a cassette available. DVDs are fading if they're already not making any new ones, as far as I'm aware. And the quality was, compared to VHS, stellar. Compared to Blu-ray, not so great. Now they just recently stopped Blu-rays. So we're not going to see a lot of Blu-ray production in the future. So discs are going away, and we're all going to be slaves to the streaming networks. If there's something you want to see, now you're going to have to find the network that it's on. You're going to have to pay them a subscription fee in order to watch the movie you want to watch. And I've told people for years, you better keep buying discs because that's the only way you'll be able to watch what you want when you want to watch it. But you can't.
Have you heard anything on what Redbox is going to be doing with their plethora? I haven't used that word in a while.
And you didn't use it right. Plethora. Yeah. But anyway, my hunch is what they will do is they'll do what Netflix did. They'll have a week where you rent the movie and you get to keep it. Yep.
I would do that.
That's what Netflix did. Netflix sent out their last batch and said, don't return these. They're yours to keep. But you don't know when they're going to do it. And you can't, because then people go hoard them and there'd be a mess. But I would imagine that's what they're going to do at some point. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll pull them all and sell them online. There's that option as well. But discs are going away. There's no two ways about it. And it's sad because, again, if you want to watch something, you better have a physical copy of it, or you got to hunt it down. And the other thing, hope that they're still going to air it, because all these streaming services have been pulling movies off, and God knows if they'll ever come back.
Now, I'm sure your local library will probably have DVDs.
There's no reason for them not to keep them unless nobody's renting them.
Right.
If they're not going out of the library, then they'll get rid of them. And that's what happens. People stop using them and they go away. I realize that people like streaming convenience. I will warn you that streaming movies, 4K movies is cool, but streaming music is usually at 128 bits per second. And that's not even near CD quality. It's like FM quality. But everybody's doing it anyway. And that's why discs have gone away. And they're going to continue to go away until there's nothing but streaming services or places to buy it. And the other thing is, if you buy something from like Amazon, say you buy a movie from Amazon, you download it to your computer. Well, you paid $15 for it, so you own it, right? No, you don't. Because the minute Amazon loses the rights for it, it disappears off your hard drive because they can no longer claim that.
So unless you have a way of recording that on a disc when you download it.
And just sit there with your phone for 2 hours. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I mean, if you download it to your computer.
If there's a way to do that, that's what you should do.
And I'm sure people have figured that out.
But there's rights management involved, that when you click a movie to hit play, first thing it does is go to the internet. Do you have the right to watch this? No, you don't. Sorry, you're not watching it. It's a new world, and I think we're all going to be sorry that we went this route, because it's been very nice. I mean, I was around with the birth of the VCR, and it's been very nice to own copies of movies that I love and that I want to see often. Not going to have that option much longer.
Before VHS came out, we had Beta, and it's a smaller cassette than a
and
VHS,
better quality,
and much better quality. And what irritates,
I don't know about much.
What irritates me so much, and it actually I'm more irritated with myself, is the fact I had a nice Beta player, and where I had it stored, the place on top leaked through the roof.
Bummer.
Yeah. And got all over it. And it just totally ruined.
Do you have any Beta cassettes?
I still have some Beta cassettes.
Well, you might want to think about selling them if you can't play them. I mean, or you can get a new player.
No, I might get good money for a Beta.
Maybe not.
Yeah, that's
true. Know, I mean, like I said, VHS is going for $0.25 a piece at the thrift stores.
Well, every time I go into a thrift store, one of the areas I stop at is to see if they do have a Beta player. Now, I kick my butt because years ago I was in a Goodwill store and they had a Beta Max. Was it Beta Max?
Yeah, that's a different format though, isn't it? Yeah.
But
that wouldn't help you with consumer.
No, exactly. But I could have picked that thing up for like $50.
I remember that. We talked about it. And there was no way for us to test if it worked.
True.
But for $30, we should have probably just sprang for it.
But anyway, life is such. Where is that way back button I was talked about earlier?
Yeah, find it somewhere. One last thing before we move on. I wanted to mention that Deep Purple has released their latest album called Equals One. It is now available. That band has been around since 1968, I think. And this is their, I believe, 20th studio album. I'm probably way off on that. It's probably more than that. I've given it a listen and I freaking love it. It's Deep Purple. They've been one of my favorite bands forever. It was the first album I ever bought, was Deep Purple's Machine Head. And still to this day, my very favorite album. My son and I, when we're going to Vegas, when we get out of the truck, our ears are, because we've been playing Deep Purple so loud. We wait to the last hour before we get to Vegas or to Laughlin, and then just crank that for the whole time.
My favorite album, and for me, is going to be Perfect Strangers.
Great album. That's a terrific album. One of the best comeback albums ever recorded.
I was just going to say, I think that was a comeback album. Yep. And of course, as far as I'm concerned, nothing beats that concert we saw at the Ventura County Fairgrounds.
That was a highlight. That's the best concert I ever saw at the Ventura County Fairgrounds. I've seen them many times. I have many Deep Purple stories. One of them is that I was supposed to go see the Perfect Strangers tour with my friend Carl, but he was in a motorcycle accident and unable to go. So Shelly went with me. Well, Deep Purple's famous for their solos. There were a lot of long solos, and she kept leaning over. Can we go now? Can we go? No, we can't go till they play Smoke on the Water. When do they play Smoke on the Water?
At the end.
The last song. So
and it was probably extended.
It was, yeah. At one point, John Lord was up there playing, and he had his giant keyboard console in front of him, and he was rocking it back and forth. It was going boom, boom, boom. And I look over and Shelly's looking at me like, I thought it was great. The other Deep Purple story I have is that they were playing at the Universal Amphitheater, and I think it was Dream Theater and Emerson, Lake and Palmer opening for him. And I wanted to go to that show so bad, but it was really expensive at the time. So I wrote to the record company and I told them I was with roughedge.com, and they said, yeah, that show's filled up. There's not much we can do. Sorry. I was like, yeah. The day of the show, I get a call. We have one ticket for you for the show tonight. Do you want it? Yes, I do. So I took that ticket. I went down to the show, watched Dream Theater, watched Emerson, Lake and Palmer. The last thing that Emerson, Lake and Palmer did, they had this giant hunting knife and stuck it in the keyboard of the keyboard, and the key, of course, got depressed, and then they let the feedback fill it. It was awesome. But we're sitting there, and I was sitting down. Don't ask me why, but I was sitting down. Everybody else around me was standing, and Deep Purple's playing, and Ian Gillan, the lead vocalist, is up there, and he's looking out in my way, and he's going, and I'm like, what's he doing? And then so I finally stand up with everybody else. I don't know why I was sitting down, but I stood up, and he's all. I go, oh crap, he was talking to me. That was so fun. That was a great moment. So but anyway, the new album is called Equals One. It is now available. It is the #1 best-selling album in 20 countries. How can a band that's been around 60 years? Well, the Stones do it, so I guess it's possible. But anyway, very cool. So check out the new Deep Purple album, especially if you're a real rock and roll fan, because it is real rock and roll. What else you got, Johnny?
I forgot to tell you.
Oh God!
Last Sunday,
Sunday,
be there. Ooh, I went to Harbor Cove Cafe.
Oh,
for my Sunday. Actually, it ended up being lunch because I had just missed their breakfast.
Did you try one of their fine new cocktails?
No, I did not. What I did have for my lunch was their patty melt.
Oh, it's so good, isn't it?
Oh, it was so good.
I love their patty melt. We were there last night because our friend Warren was playing. And so we went to see Warren, and we got Mai Tai, and Shelly got Mai Tai, and I got a Hurricane. Hurricane was outstanding. And so, of course, the Mai Tai, Shelly's Mai Tai was so good, she got another Mai Tai. But we ordered the coconut shrimp. Mm-hmm. Now, most of us agree that the best coconut shrimp in the world is at the Reef in Palm Springs, because their coconut shrimp is amazing. I must tell you that the coconut shrimp at Harbor Cove Cafe comes really, really close. It was outstanding. So go down there and get you some coconut shrimp. Get yourself a Hurricane or a Mai Tai. You can't go wrong with a Mai Tai there. And have a good time. Was the Reef where they had that Caliente? Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah, Tiki Caliente. Yeah, the Reef. And now I still have my hat. Oh yeah. And now there's a Mexican restaurant that's right out front called Sancho's. That's supposed to be all the rave. So, I mean, go there and get a full Mexican meal, and then go next door and get yourself some tiki drinks. It's a perfect evening. All right, folks, we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening. As always, we'll talk more about the Santa Paula Film Festival next week, and whatever else comes to be. And listen, go to your local theaters, go to your local mom and pop eateries, because too many of them are going away. It's the only way to keep them in business, folks. I know a lot of people complain when businesses close, and it's like, well, when's the last time you went there? Exactly. Well, it's been a year. Well, see, you can't do that. Support the places that you love. That's why we always go to Harbor Cove Cafe. That's why we always go to La Cabana. We want them to stay in business. We want to support them. So it's very important to do that. John's not just talking out of his rear like he usually does. This time he's right. All right, we'll see you next week, folks. You know what I missed? And did we actually play it? Because I don't remember. I don't know. Our intro. Yeah, we played intro music. Yeah, we played it. How did I miss it? You were eating your sandwich. Oh, because I didn't get to. Nobody else missed that, John. Just you. Well, that's how my neck gets exercise. Mm-hmm. Go to the Grape, have a cocktail, listen to some jazz. See? Bye. Brought to you by The Grape, Ventura County's premier jazz venue and cocktail lounge, located at 2733 East Main Street in Ventura. For menu and music schedule, visit them online at thegrape.club. This has been a Rough Edge Studios production.